Today I fucked up by canceling my roommate's favorite TV show. This didn't happen today but many years ago when I was in college. My roommate was obsessed with one particular TV show, which I was also a fan of, but he was very into it. He joined different forums and groups about it. He participated in chat rooms about it. He was obsessed. At the time, it was up in the air as to whether or not the show would be cancelled. So, being an immature 19-year-old, I decided to have a little fun. I had recently found out about this service that would distribute anyone's article for free. Knowing that my roommate had alerts set up for everything to do with this show, I was fairly certain that if anyone was going to see what I was about to do, it would be him. I wrote up an article announcing the cancellation of the show. I started it off making it sound very official and professional and then deliberately threw some bizarre statements into the article, things that would never appear in any official announcement. I looked it over, sent it in, and promptly forgot about it. The next morning, I got up, jumped in the shower, and started getting ready for class. I heard my roommate shout, "Oh my God." I walked back into the room and asked, "What's going on?" My roommate looked devastated. "They cancelled it. They actually cancelled it. They're idiots." I asked him why they had done that. He proceeded to read the rest of the article out loud. As he reached the bizarre statements, he got a confused look on his face, held his hand towards the screen, and said, "What the hell is this crap?" I burst out laughing and my roommate realized he'd been had. He shook his head. "You're an ass. Seriously, dude? How did you even get that out there?" We had a good laugh about it. He vowed to get me back, and I went off to class. Later that day, I walked into our dorm and my roommate had a huge grin on his face. "Congratulations, dude. You're famous," he said happily. "What did you do?" I asked. "Oh, I didn't do anything," he replied. "This is all you're doing." He sent me a link and told me to open it up. The link opened up to a post on one of the fan forums of the show. The subject was the show's cancellation and the post was a direct copy of my fake article. Below, people were reacting with devastation and pure outrage at the network's decision to cancel the show. They had overlooked the bizarre statements and had taken the fake article as an official cancellation of the show. I couldn't believe that it had spread so far. I read page after page of devastated fans mourning the demise of their favorite show. And then the mood shifted. The creator of the show posted on the forum after he was contacted by several fans. The post was along the lines of, "Well, I hope we're not cancelled because I'm at the office and working. Now I'm fielding phone calls from my writers asking if they still have jobs." "Oh shit," I said. My roommate burst out laughing. "Oh shit is right, dude. Keep reading." As I continued to read, the tide of the comments turned from angry at the network to angry at whatever effing F-head decided to pull this stunt. These people were out for my blood. They talked about tracking me down and beating the crap out of me. That was when I learned that my roommate was far from the most devoted fan, at least he found it funny. They wrote to both the network and the show creator encouraging them to serve paperwork on the service I used to release the article in order to find out my IP. Which would have traced to the college and likely resulted in disciplinary, if not legal action against me. I spent the next 2 months thinking I was going to get expelled or arrested. Meanwhile, my roommate just laughed at me every time I got anxious and told me it served me right. The following month the fake article was referenced by TV Guide and is still mentioned on both the IMDb and Wikipedia pages for the show. As for me? Well, I haven't spoken about this in many years and I'm still choosing to use a throwaway because my regular account has a bit too much of me on it. Too long did not read. Decided to prank my roommate by releasing a fake article making him believe that his favorite TV show was cancelled. The article had much wider spread than intended, enraged an entire fanbase, and made several of the show's writers question whether they still had jobs. Edit. I've written a few comments in response, but just found out they're being filtered due to this being a new account. I have messaged the mods asking for assistance. Edit 2. Just woke up to see that someone guessed correctly that it was Veronica Mars. This happened in 2006. My comments may still need manual approval so I don't know if they're showing up, but as promised I can confirm that it was Veronica Mars and Rob Thomas joined the Television Without Pity forums to confirm the show was not cancelled. The forums are since defunct so the link on the page is dead. But here is where it was. Use that in a writing resume and apply as a writer for The Onion. If you got Firefly cancelled I will find you. And I'll haunt you. And I will make your life miserable. On that note, may I introduce you to the Wheel of Time. Assassinate it. Track this guy down and put him in jail for not telling us the name of the show on a throwaway account. You're anonymous. Name the show. Hashtag what show is this? Today I fucked up by screwing up a potential serious relationship with a woman I've wanted for years. Too long did not read. At the bottom. We're both in our early 20s, and have known each other since we were teenagers. For years, neither of us were entirely sure about whether the other felt the same way. Fast forward to this past June. A conversation meant to clear up a little mishap between us led to interest from both sides being revealed. We started seeing each other regularly since then, and things were going well. The issue arose where I revealed to her that I had a medical condition, nothing life-threatening, unique circumstances I was dealing with behind the scenes that I didn't inform her about. Treatment for the medical issue meant sex would be off the table for me for a while. That being the case, I wouldn't actually be able to move forward with the relationship past a certain point. I admit, I'd probably have done us both a favor by mentioning this from the beginning, but I thought it'd be a pretty strange thing to lead with. The conversation where we both revealed our interest in each other was suggestive all throughout, but because we were both interested in having a relationship, I decided against leading with something that'd impact my ability to have sex because there was no guarantee we'd actually be a good fit for each other. Anyway, we meet on our regular day and time, which is where the fuck up happens. I deliver the news, but I overstay my welcome. Her response to the news was that we could try again in the future, and that she'll take the news like a big girl and go home. But, because I was too attached to my desired outcome, I struggled with letting go in the moment. The trigger for that was her repeatedly questioning me while we were seeing each other about if I actually liked her. For the life of me, I couldn't allow this to end before it got started without her knowing if I was sure about what I felt for her. So I start saying things like how it sucks that we're done before we've even gotten started, how I've wanted her for years, how I knew from the start it was doomed to fail, and that this medical thing is why I've acted in ways that led her to question my feelings. She would mention how I hardly text during the week and how I can be flat when I'm with her. While I was having an episode next to her, no crying or anything, just being honest because I felt I couldn't leave things with her being uncertain about what I felt. I saw her give me a what the fuck? Who TF is this guy? Look once or twice and also repeatedly checking the time. I'm fairly clued up on social cues, so to me this was her trying to say let's just part ways and not make this any worse. But I didn't care. I chose to have us sat there for hours in this awkward situation. It also didn't help that I told her earlier in the conversation that something she said prior got me thinking there's something I felt couldn't give her in a relationship at this point in time. She asked multiple times for me to say what it was, but I kept dodging, joking my way around it. All this crap I dragged us through was making her physically tired and wanting to GTFO. But like I said, the absurdity of the whole situation to me made it hard to just go home. Following this, I've decided to go NC for a while. To get my situation sorted and work on all the bad traits, mentalities of mine that came out during the conversation, and let things cool off. Level with me here, given how embarrassing sharing that kind of thing with someone is. Would she hold that whole shitshow against me or put it down to me feeling ashamed for having to reveal that to her? I, perhaps foolishly, think things can still work out, just not now. Both because I need to grow up in a lot of ways and get this medical thing sorted. Too long did not read. I made a girl who was really into me feel repulsed by my behavior toward a medical issue I'm facing. Edit. To add a bit more, I feel disgusted by myself for how I acted and almost think I've lost some respect for myself too. So I can only imagine what she's thinking, feeling. So much so that I currently don't even feel I can look her in the eyes right now. The real question is, will she even be able to respect me after this lol? Either way, I'm glad this happened to me because it taught me a lot about myself, where my deficiencies are and what I need to work on at a personal level. Honestly, if you two really like each other, I don't see this as a big deal. Maybe you went a little overboard during the conversation, but people who like each other sometimes do so. It's a bit unclear to me what the nature of your medical condition is and if it's really that big of an issue. You don't have to tell, but can you just not have sex, do wiener stuff, or can you not fool around with her at all? It may not be ideal, but not being able to have sex isn't that huge of a deal assuming it's temporary. Bro, I have no idea what the hell I just read. You really went for the nuclear option when she chose to break up about the sex. Don't worry so much about the embarrassment. One of two things will happen. She's going to think you're a bit much emotionally, which it sounds like from what you wrote, or she'll process it and get back to you. Either way, move on with your life. Don't write telling her how much you love her because you're just going to reiterate that you're unstable, to her. Can you ELI 5? So. Your dick doesn't work temporarily and you told her. She thought that you don't like her and while explaining that you actually do. Hours went by and she was checking her watch? There is absolutely not enough information here, but you should give her some space. Not go full NC, that'll be harder to come back from most likely. It sounds like you trapped her in a conversation in which you overanalyzed everything she said to you. Also, could you not eat her muff or finger blast her baloney hole? Not to be too hard on you, but you sound like a red flag. Today I fucked up by misplacing a notepad with harsh HR info, with names, and employees found it. This is my first today I fucked up post. Some background info. I co-manage a location and have a boss above me, a supervisor, and some leaders. We often have monthly meetings and check-ins. A few weeks ago, our leaders were having some reoccurring issues with specific employees and we hosted a meeting to let them lay it out. The good and the ugly, name dropping and all so we can get to the root of specific issues. I jot down those notes in the back of a small legal notepad, my first mistake, as it's also the same size notepad we give employees, instead of the large legal pads I usually use, to later type up. I remembered to type it up. I did not remember to rip out the page. My second mistake. Fast forward to this last week. I was doing some inventory recounting around the store, unknowingly, with that notepad and misplaced it. I typically have several of them lying around and will often hand them off to employees if there's a list of tasks or info they need, so of course, I didn't search very much for it. It'll turn up. My third mistake. Today is my day off and the notepad turns up. I'm enjoying a grocery store trip until my boss sends me a photo of the page with, XYZ found this, just a heads up. All I could reply at the moment was, oh fuck. Rereading it sounds so harsh out of context. A leaves without permission. B drags their feet. C goofs around. D is saying racist jokes. E makes people uncomfortable. I've already owned up to my mistakes and have devised a plan for that to never happen again, but I feel beyond awful. I have no idea who did or didn't see it, if they took pictures. There was a quote at the bottom that can come across as very, iron fist bossish. I'm so very excited for tomorrow. Edit. Lol, sorry, but some of you are so uptight. None of the information on the notepad was confidential or broke any policies, but either way I'm accepting any disciplinary action I may receive. I have less than 3 years experience in management, so I am going to make dumb mistakes. That's okay. I struggle with misplacing things often. Everyone I work with knows that of me. It was a very, very embarrassing mistake. I go in a couple of hours, so I will update later. Too long did not read. I fucked up by leaving a notebook with notes from a meeting regarding issues amongst employees. They found it and my boss did as well. Well, that sounds like a shitstorm that's about to happen tomorrow. Please check back in with an update. The only fuck up is losing the notepad. The content, all things considered, seems legitimately related to ongoing work matters. Wow, that's terrible. Issues with employees listing all of their flaws and weaknesses. Take the winners to lunch. Perhaps eventually the losers will prove you wrong. This sounds like a resume-generating event. Good luck. Today I fucked up by breaking a car elevator, blocking all my boss's car underground. Well, let's start by some context. I work in a mid-sized company. I have a contract for 4 months which will end at the end of this month. I work at the General Department, so basically a handyman. My manager wanted to keep me with a permanent position and I told him that I would be ready to join if my salary goes up. Way up, not scandalous sum. Just what I think is a living wage. To access the building everyone come by the subway except the bosses that all uses their cars. When you come by car, you have to take a car elevator and park in one of the 2 underground parking lot. A water pipe broke down at the 2 and was leaking, so I called a plumber to make the repair. He comes by car and told me that he will have to drain the pipe from his car. I say, no problems, let's use the car elevator. For context, my boss ride in those absolute monster of a car, super wide and heavy, so I didn't think much of it and guide the plumber's car to the elevator. He goes in, no problems, and as soon as the door close he turned to me and say, wait, the car weights more than 2 tons, 4,500 pounds. In front of us, there is a red writing saying, no more than 2 tons. The elevator begins to go down and stops just as fast. And this is when I realized that I fucked up. I called my manager, very bad reception, underground parking lot. Managed to say that I am stuck. I use the emergency button of the elevator. Talk to a guy. We will send someone. 1 hour later, someone came. 2 hours later we managed to very slowly come to the 2. We make the car come out of the elevator and understand a few things. 1. All the bosses, very high ranked including the director, have their cars down here. 2. The elevator don't work. 3. The, still too heavy, car of the plumber is all the way down here. 4. The guy that rescued me out of the elevator are not qualified to repair it. 5. I am neck deep in shit. It's been 4 hours since I contacted the support for the elevator. My bosses will all end their day in 30 minutes. I am probably fired. The director has a very shitty and impulsive personality and has already fired people for smaller mistakes. And #X200B. Too long did not read. I broke the car elevator by giving it too much weight. All the bosses have their car underground and they will soon begin to ask why they cannot leave. Tell them the leaking pipe must have damaged it, but due to your quick thinking, i.e. getting the plumber out ASAP, damage has been minimized. Fuck all to lose. Probably not broken, but locked out after tripping safety sensors. For a frame of reference, a 2019 Grand Caravan has a curb weight of 4,500 pounds. This sounds like a problems with a shitty under-designed elevator. Where are the load limit warnings? If they are only visible once you are in the elevator, that may be really questionable. 15 million before the boss's shift ends. Please keep us updated.